Hi guys, welcome back to Cake and It's Special. This week I am making the magic mirror cake from the Disney classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So here we go. For this I have made vanilla cake and vanilla buttercream. I have 3 10-inch layers. Next I put the template that I drew on top of the cake and cut around it using my small carving knife. There are also feathers that go at the top of this mirror, so I build up some extra cake at the top. Next I cut out the middle of my template so I can use it as a guide to cut out the cake to leave the frame of the mirror raised. I also round off the extra cake at the top for the feathers. It almost looks like an engagement ring at this point. So now I can do a crumb coat. I put the cake in the fridge for around 20 minutes, then give it a second layer of buttercream, trying to keep it nice and smooth. I want to cover the dip first, so I roll out some black fondant and drape it over the centre. I take my time to make sure it's pushed into the corners and it's nice and smooth. Now I roll out a big piece of brown fondant and drape it over the entire cake. I get to work smoothing it in place, then I can cut away the brown fondant to reveal the black underneath. I also cut away fondant from around the base of the cake and at the top where I added extra cake. So I cut away a small piece of the brown fondant first to reveal the black underneath. And then I feel for the edge of the black fondant so that I can cut a clean seam between the two. I add a small sheet of white fondant to the top of the cake. Now I use my sculpting tool to draw in each section of the feathers. At the pictures, the feathers are quite fallen forward at the tops, so I've added some extra pieces of fondant at the top of each section so it looks like they are falling over. I also add some texture to give it more of a feathery effect, but I need to make sure that I don't lose the lines that separate each feather. Now on each side of the mirror there is a snake curled up. So I'll do this with fondant, but first I will mark it on with water so that I have a guide to follow. I also use the water as glue. Where it comes to the snake overlapping, I cut it where they meet and then start again on the other side. Does that make sense? The head is like a flat petal shape with a tiny split for the mouth. I use a bit of water to blend the head into the body. Okay, and then put a tiny hole in for the eye socket. I do one of these on either side of the cake. The detail at the bottom is a disc, and then it has almost like two twisted petal shapes on either side. I tried a few different ways of doing this, like twisting a cord into the petal shape. I settled for laying down each petal shape and then scoring in the lines with a sculpting tool. There are 2 cords on each side, top and bottom, so 4 cords in total. I add them on with yellow fondant as well, and where they both come to the end of each side of the cake, there is some blue wavy lines and another yellow disc underneath. Are you following me? For the face in the mirror, I cut out a basic shape out of the fondant with Tylose powder mixed in. And then I build up the facial features with more of my Tylose fondant. I start with the main features like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and then I fill out from there. And when that's done, I roll out a thin layer of white fondant and lay it straight over the top of the face. I take my time and push the fondant into all them little gaps using a soft dry paintbrush. And when I'm happy, I can add some colour. For this, I'm using dry rainbow dusts. I have photos next to me at all times to follow. There is a lot more colour on this face than I ever realised. I get the first layer of colour down to work out where each colour starts and stops, and then I go over them again and try to blend them as best I can. I also add some fondant balls to the eye sockets, which I paint black. And when I'm happy with the face, I add some white rainbow dust to the black part of the mirror so it looks like the smoke. And then stick the face in with a little bit of water. He looks so unhappy. He definitely does not have job satisfaction. Next, I take my dry brown rainbow dust and add some shading to the cake. I paint all the yellow fondant gold using my Sweet Sticks palette, which is amazing. It's literally just a case of adding water to it. And for the feathers, I use a couple of blues around the edges to build up the colour and also a touch of grey. I also use the blue on the blue wavy fondant as well. There are little red discs that go inside the yellow discs that I add with fondant, but I didn't want to add them until they have been painted gold. And then there is a crown that goes at the very top of the mirror. So to do this, I take a ball of fondant and roll out another piece of yellow fondant and use a piping tip to make the spikes at the top of the crown and then wrap it around the ball. And once I've added the tiny details to that, I can paint that gold as well. Then finally, I add a cloth effect to the board. I roll out purple fondant as thin as I can get it and drape it onto the board, letting it fall naturally. And then I keep going round until I'm happy with it. And there it is. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you are enjoying my videos. If so, please do subscribe to this channel. I really do appreciate it. And I will be back next Wednesday with something different. Thanks guys, bye.